Do you want to look at it?
Sure.
So if you scroll up a little bit in the console part, so down here. So just scroll up a little bit. Keep going a little bit further. So right here, when you see like the one, it tells you what the test is different. So it says well-formed HTML document has a valid document structure. If you have your error results there, delete empty error messages, and if you scroll down, it says we've got element head is missing, and it's a required instance of the child. So you're missing a title element instead of the head.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. It's hard to read that stuff.
So it should be, I can put anything in there, right? Or does that do like an href?
So they want you to put, yep, I think that's it. So they want you to put a title inside of it. So if you press enter and then put a title tag in. Yep. And then you can just type in whatever. Sure. So now it's probably, I think it does like one failure at a time. So you're probably on the next one. So you scroll a little bit. Scroll a little bit. There, yeah, it says error line 4. Element head is missing a required instance of the child element type. Head, HTML. So if you open up that back folder that's over on the left, and then click on document structure, so then so it does want HTML then equals so line 2, so replace line 2 with what you cut. I don't think that's going to solve this problem. So if you go back to the document structure under file under spec, so that's okay. So in head, it contains a meta tag for the character set. Headers parse HTML search and search child. There it is. Keep going a little bit. Okay. Well, so an HTML search for HTML head and title to exist. So that's what you did. This was fine. And I expect title name to equal title.
So is it
It should have any title. So not
So it's not your title, maybe that's.
no. So yeah. So go back to the indexation. So once make it lowercase title instead of uppercase title. Let's try testing it. There you go. You got past it though. So now there's 3 examples before you have 2 examples. So scroll up.
So go all the way up.
Now, so maybe the test start here, and then it says, see, you passed, has valid document structure, has language attribute, and the HTML you're missing contains a meta tag. So it says that head needs to have a meta tag.
Okay.
So I think in the README it tells you to create like a meta tag inside of the head that has a char set of UTF-8.
Okay.
So it would say now you're missing that.
That one was fun. There's a lot of errors going on for me.
Yeah.
At the most.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of tests in that file that's looking for a very explicit document structure. So
Yeah.
it takes a long time to work through.
Mhm.
You got all the way through it though?
I did, yeah.
That's good.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like Charles, to your point, like there's nothing invalid about what you were doing at all. That would totally create an HTML document and then it would have a body and that. What they're saying is, basically what those tests are saying, did you read the instructions and do what we wanted you to do explicitly?
Right.
So
I took it originally for the, as far as just instructions, just to do these.
yeah, so it's those pieces, but you have to go all the way down to actually pass the entire test. That's all. So like if you just keep going.
We get one here.
Yeah. So like if you read down, so like in here even there's probably that. Please put a meta tag with UTF.
Okay.
So if you scroll. So like you have to do these pieces.
Okay.
And then
They just look like examples.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's asking you to actually put those things into the code.
Okay.
So then there's going to be, yeah, so these meta name ones. So I want you to do all of these pieces. They're not
Okay.
just examples, they're actually like, I want you to take these and put them inside.
Okay. So basically all of this I'm putting into the head.
Yes, which it says. So we scroll up a little bit. So we hit that paragraph before this one. So it says, okay, meta tag provides metadata about the document, including character set, and metadata on the content of the page, also contains also viewport, so go down. So meta tag. Yeah, so I guess it doesn't explicitly say that you need to do that. It's just from the test that you have to do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the sake of just getting through this one, should I just put the UTC?
Yeah, so it's going to want, it wants the UTF-8.
UTF.
Yeah, that one. Good. So put that inside the head.
Just right there.
Yep, that's fine. And then if you rerun learn. So now you passed. So now you passed 3 and you failed 1. So we got past 1. So it says no meta tag with the name attribute. So yeah, I guess it probably wants that next one. Go back to the example. Probably wants all the examples. How you doing?
Okay. I'll just do that then.
So you can probably just copy each of these examples into the appropriate place in the document structure.
Yeah.
And then,
Okay.
yeah, and then just and come back and help them if you run into more issues. Race. It's just
Hey, what's happening?
When you press Control C,
It just kills the console, so you, I think, have to refresh the page and like click on OpenIDE again. So how'd everyone do with the labs first day? Basic stuff. Ish? Yeah, good.
Yeah. It was, like you said, learning to know that the error message is your friend.
Yep.
You're good.
Yep.
As soon as I got through that, I was like, all right, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, errors don't mean you're doing anything wrong. They're just trying to help you get to, they're trying to help you through the list of instructions that they're trying to provide. And like, there are some jobs where the whole thing is what's called TDD, test-driven development. And so a QA team will write tests like that to the specs. So like they want you to build a particular feature set and it needs to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And so the QA team will write tests that make sure that it does X, Y, and Z, and then your job is just to work towards making sure that those specs pass. It's not the most fun jobs because it's very like government regulated. You have to do this, that, and the other. But they do exist. That is like a real way that people work.
I was reviewing the readmes in the lesson.
Yep.
Okay, so it was saying that the file extension tells the browser what kind of program to open the file as. So like whether it's like a doc or so for text, how do I say this? Web development programs don't open word processing files.
They don't.
So why do we end some in text?
Why do we end it in text? Why do we end it in TXT?
Yeah.
So we wouldn't generally. The only time, so like we saw that happen actually last time. A couple of people put .txt instead of .html for the my list example, and it rendered it in the browser as a text file. So the breaks, the line breaks that they created in their file, it displayed that way.
Okay.
Generally speaking, though, I mean, as a developer, you almost never write a text file. You would write an HTML file or a JavaScript file or a CSS file. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but like your browser has no idea how to open a Microsoft Word document, right? But it can open text files. So it can open a text file, it can open a CSV probably, it can open a JSON file it's called, which we'll go over later. CSS, JavaScript, HTML, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all it can open. Did anybody struggle with anything in particular in this set of labs, just in the HTML basics? It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, so I know it said that ID is for a specific element and class is for like a group of elements. What would be an example of that?
Yeah, so we'll go over this over and over again. It's in CSS, in JavaScript in particular, it becomes very important because of the way that you interact with the elements on the page. But let's say that I have a header for my page, which is something like my page. I might have an ID for that, which is page header. Because it's only going to happen one time on my page. And so I want to reference this particular thing that has my page inside of it, and so I would use ID. But then underneath of that, I might have a list, and I might want to have a class that's called item. And it's going to be so basically, whenever I'm referencing in the class of item, I want to reference both of these items. So for example, we'll look at this when we get to CSS later, but I might want to color all of my items red, but I want my given time.
Okay. And so then you're referencing it when you're in CSS.
You reference it in CSS, and you also reference it in JavaScript.
Okay.
Yeah, it actually becomes more important in JavaScript because what we'll see is there are functions provided to you by JavaScript that are called, so one of them is called getElementById, which will get you this thing so you can start manipulating it. Or there's getElementByClassNames. And so you can see even in the function title, it's expecting when you do it by ID, you get back a single element, and when you do it by class names, you get back multiple. So, yeah. All right. Hopefully, a couple other people will show up soon. I know Josh isn't going to be here. He said his brother's in like a U.S. Open tennis tournament. Yeah, pretty great. All right. So today we're going to start by talking a little bit about document structure, which is going to be the first lab in the HTML fundamentals. Charles, I think that's the one you're working on currently. So it's all good. We're going to talk about basic document structure. Did everybody read the READMEs in the fundamental section? We get through that. Okay, it's no worries. I just want to know if you're going to be able to answer this question. So at the top of the HTML, what's the first thing we want to put in?
Doc type.
Doc type, right? So we do exclamation, doc type, and then what goes here? HTML. And what does this thing do?
It's a HTML document.
Yeah, it tells us it's an HTML document. It's nothing very special. In fact, honestly, you don't actually need this anymore. But for a valid HTML document, you have to have this at the top.
Do you ever see an exclamation point anywhere else?
In HTML?
Yeah.
No, not in HTML. It's the only time you'll ever see that I can think of anyway. Yeah, and it's a very different type of format. I mean, you generally don't see attributes set up like that either. So, or like all of it is weird. The whole thing's weird. It's very, very unique. Okay, so then what comes next? We want to create a valid HTML document. HTML. And what does that tell us? What does that tell the browser?
Opening and closing.
This is where my HTML is going to go. And the reason is that this is horrible, but like the way that people used to do things, like I came from the PHP world, and you might write code like above the HTML tag. So you might write code right there. And so what you're saying is this is where my HTML is actually going to start. That's what I'm going to do. But nobody does that anymore. We won't do that in this class. Used to be a thing. Okay, so HTML, and then inside of HTML, the first element is header. Or not header, but head, right? And then what goes after head? Body. Okay, and what goes inside of the head tag?
Title.
Title's a thing. And what does title do?
The title of the tab and page.
Yeah, it's the title inside the page. So like learn HTML fundamentals. And then what else can go inside a head?
All the
metadata.
Oh, the metadata, right? So like meta char set equals UTF-8 is a thing. Does anyone remember what that does?
font.
Yeah, essentially. It's a little different than font. UTF-8 is a character encoding. So there are several of these. There's UTF, there's ASCII, there's all kinds that exist out there. The most standard used in web development is UTF-8. It just keeps it to a particular character set. So it makes sure that you're not putting bad characters. Like, so what you'll see an issue with this most of the time is if you copy like a comma or a comma or an apostrophe from a Word document into like a text area box on HTML, it might disappear. Or it'll turn into, sometimes you've seen like question mark boxes that exist. That's usually a bad UTF character. Like, it's not actually UTF-8. It doesn't exist there. And so this is saying only accept UTF-8 characters in the rest of the document. All right. What other types of metadata can we put?
Name, content.
Yeah. So you can put, basically, it's about, the rest of it is really largely about search terms and that type of thing. So I actually you have some examples in your HTML Fundamentals lab. Open it up here. You guys get there in a moment. Let's see. So here they're giving a description to it. It's just, a website devoted to pictures of all my cats, kittens, and felines. You can add keywords, which used to be really important. They're still kind of important for like Google to find your site. There's all kinds of other things they use too now though. You can put the author, so your own name, to take credit for making the page. And then this piece down here, viewport content with device width initial scale equals 1. That's going to become critical to us later when we get into CSS. what this is doing is, have you ever gone to a website and it felt like you were zoomed out? Like you could see the whole website on your phone, but it felt like you were really zoomed out? That's because they're not doing this. And what's happening is it's like scaling out the web page to fit your phone. Oftentimes you don't want that. We're going to talk about how to create mobile-first design and how to use breakpoints and media queries so that you can better display the page on both mobile and desktop.
Bootstrap, right?
Bootstrap does that. Bootstrap does that for you. Bootstrap is a framework that implements a lot of CSS for you, including a grid, which includes media queries for breaking things at the right points. So, yeah. But we're going to do it from scratch. But yeah. Yep. Okay. So that's all the stuff. Oh, okay. So that's most of the stuff that can go inside a head. What's another thing that can go inside a head? It's on the screen. But. So you can put links. A link, but this isn't a link like a hyperlink. This isn't like when you click on something and it goes somewhere. What this link is saying, I want to include a style sheet that's called style.css. So basically this is how you include all of your CSS styles onto the page. We'll create another file that's called style.css. We'll put our CSS inside of there. This line is saying include that CSS for this file.
That's only for external, right? The internal you can put right in the page, correct?
You can put it right in the page. It's generally bad practice to do that, but you totally can. The reason it's bad practice is simply like...
It applies to the whole site. You know?
So two things. Yeah, one is that if you just put it on a page-by-page basis and you want to reuse that same CSS over and over again, it's harder because you have to copy and paste it everywhere as opposed to just linking that same file in. Another reason not to do that is just like as you build a massive HTML page, there's a lot of code already there for HTML. Adding additional code for the CSS is just harder to read and gets out of sort. So, but you totally can. You could put it in line. We'll talk about that. And then similar to including links, you can actually also include script for your JavaScript in the head. That's usually where that goes.
So are they always going to be links to style sheets?
Links, the only reason I can imagine that you probably ever use link is for a style sheet, is to include a style sheet. There are some other uses, but they're uncommon. Okay. So then inside a body, so if head is where we put all of our attributes and metadata about the page, what do we put inside a body?
Paragraph, text.
The content. It's all the paragraphs of text, the headers, all of our actual HTML that we're trying to use to build this particular page goes there. So generally speaking, like this right here, you would copy and paste onto any brand new page of HTML that you're creating, and maybe you change out the title and the link. But for the most part, this is like your basic document structure. Everything else is where you're actually building your page itself that you're going to display to the end user. All that goes inside a body. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go to curriculum, HTML fundamentals, and then just click on the sandbox here, which will do the same thing as OpenIDE, except there's no learn environment. In this case, we're just going to play around a little bit. And what we're going to start with is just recreating that basic valid HTML. So I have a doc type HTML here, HTML, head, meta, charset, UTF-8, and then I have a body, and inside the body, so far, all I have is a couple of divs that have some IDs and classes on them. I'm actually going to remove that for now, and then I'm going to copy and paste this piece into Slack. Were we able to get you onto Slack? Did that ever work? Do you want to try to click on it one more time? We reached out to Maria. She might have sent you a link too, potentially, an email. But
Something besides this here.
Is it the HTML and the CMS? Yeah, all I have is says temporary.
yeah, you won't. There shouldn't be anything in there. I wouldn't imagine. If you just create a new file called index.html. Yeah. Sorry. And then you can just copy and paste the code that I put there. We'll let you guys catch up. Then we'll start creating some lists and some links.
Sandbox doesn't let me.
I think it's off. Is it off your screen? If you make your browser a little bit shorter. So I think the button one is right here. So I need to use grabbing the top and turning it a little bit shorter. Yeah, there you go. Okay. There's the page.
Right page, right?
Yeah. There it is.
Sorry, I was wrong.
No, it's fine, it's fine. Sometimes those things happen.
No, there was flags off just right here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. They're supposed to be working on it, so hopefully by next class we'll be good.
What you posted in Slack, just copy and paste.
Yeah, just copy and paste that. That's just sort of our starting block, and then we're going to do the fun stuff inside of body in a second.
And what is the meta again? What's the purpose of it?
So this is just saying that I'm promising the browser that all of the code that I write in here is going to have UTF-8 characters. It's just helping the browser interpret it. You actually don't. This is an assumption that the browser makes already, so you're fine without that. But. Okay, so everybody caught up? We're here? All right, so now we're going to create we're going to create a list, and we're going to create a list of links, and then we're going to do some fun things like put images in there and that type of stuff. So how do I create a list? Let's say an unordered list. Let's start with it.
Okay.
So OL is a ordered list. So yeah, yeah. So UL, right? Yeah, there we go. So we do UL, and then how do we create a list item? LI. And let's just create a list of cities. So let's say San Francisco. Probably should have made this an ordered list so we could put them in the right order. But San Francisco, and then for now we'll do Washington, D.C. and Boston.
Sam, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
You know how it automatically closes the UL and LI stuff?
Yeah.
It's doing that for me right now.
It's not doing it for you?
Are you in the index file?
I am, yeah.
You're in index.html?
Yeah.
That's
Mine is a
Yeah,
big,
I see this is orange and green stuff, and I like if I do.
Oh, so you have to, the file has to be named index.html, and it's named index without a file ending, so that it doesn't know how to interpret it as HTML.
my files are showing just temporary, I'm not even able to create one.
Oh, okay, so copy all that so no one loses it. And then, actually, this is a good exercise. We're going to want to have this anyway. Let's have everybody go and download Atom. So if you go to atom.io in your browser, you're going to see a thing like this and you want to download it. It's going to open up an application that's a basic text editor. We'll use this for things like when we want to copy code out of the IDE back and forth so we don't accidentally put it in Microsoft Word and end up with one of those apostrophes that won't break our code. So, but if everybody can go download that and install it.
Do you know why it wasn't showing up like you were?
No, but I want you to copy that code out before we start messing around with it because I don't want
Lose it.
to, yeah, I don't want to lose it.
Yeah, so when you download it, it just does the basic max zip thing, open it up, takes you through a little tutorial. And it should do the exact same thing on PC. They're pretty much identical. So it'd be like something like that. You probably just have to copy it into your application folder. When you open up Atom, it's a little weird experience when you open it, and this happens every time you open it. But there are multiple tabs open, which are multiple files. One of them is a welcome tab. And I don't. Oh, there we go. So if you unclick this checkbox, show welcome guide when opening Atom, and that'll go away. You just exit out of these things. Then you have a nice little place where you can put your code, and it'll do syntax highlighting just like your IDE does currently if you name this index.html. It'll reformat everything for you. Charles, were you able to get it to start working for you though? Is it is it closing the tabs for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can show that. Well, so could you have the IDE open? Yeah. And then,
Yeah. So it's,
yeah.
yeah.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah. So in the future,
Yeah.
small Atom won't like it.
Yeah. So go ahead and if you right click on that, you change the name. So rename it to index section. Just make some things easier. Okay. So back to creating our lists. So we have San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and Boston. That's all good. If we want to view that, we can, does anybody remember, which is really an IP address, copy and paste. You can see our list. Right, so that's cool. We did this last time. We did it again. We're up and running. But now we want to do something that's a little bit more interesting. Let's say that we want to create a link to the tourism site for each of these cities. So the way that we do that, you guys learned a little bit about last time in your labs. How would I create a link so that when I click on San Francisco, it takes me to San Francisco tourism site?
The href?
That's right. So the anchor tag, which is the A. All right, so go back. And so where would I put the A?
Line below?
Yeah, so you just put it, we want to nest it inside of the LI tag, and we just want to wrap our San Francisco. So A, href equals, and then we put in our website, which is long string craziness. But you're not going to be able to, I mean, you can put you can just put https://google.com in the href if you want, but it's just this. There goes A, href.
You said just put on google.com first.
Yeah, you can just put google.com. I might even have to do that because it looks like there's something invalid in that list, but we'll see. So save that. Hey. Yeah, so now we have our link. And if I click on the link, it takes us to our tourism website. Or in your case, it might be taking you to google.com.
Do you have to put HTTP?
You do have to put HTTP. And in Google's case, HTTPS. Does anybody know the difference between HTTP and HTTPS? Yeah. What is it? What, like, in what way is it secure? Yeah.
Encryption.
Yeah, it's encrypting the message between your computer and the server. So there's a possibility that somebody could be doing what's called a man-in-the-middle attack, where they're sitting on your Wi-Fi network and watching all the data that's transpiring back and forth. When it's an HTTPS connection, it's encrypted. So the data going between you and the server is encrypted in flight, so between the Wi-Fi and yourself. So. Okay. Do you get? Okay, so you have two closers, and you want to wrap. So you don't want to close it until after San Francisco. So San Francisco has to be nested within the anchor tag, so that it knows that that's what it should be. That's what it should be creating a link, a clickable thing for. Yeah? Okay, cool. All right, so we created a little link. That's cool, and we could do that for Washington, D.C., and we could do it for Boston as well. What we're going to do instead, though, is we're going to try and use an image. We're going to create an image link in our list, and we're going to click on the image, and it's going to take us to the tourism site. So let's start by getting an image. I click in here, I can find one. Let's see, inspect. That's not what I want. Open image in a new tab. I'll send this to you guys. So there's the exact or static link to our image that we're going to use for San Francisco. It's got Alcatraz in the back. Yep.
So, can't you have, does it have to live somewhere? I mean, I know how you can grab pictures off the web.
Yep.
But can it live in like a repository that is local?
Yes. So that's the exercise we're about to do.
Okay.
Yep, that's exactly right. We're going to start with the external explicit tag, and then we're going to make it an internal.
Okay,
Yep.
sorry.
Yep. So if you want to, you can go ahead and copy that whole URL. And what we're going to do, oops, is we still want to go to that same travel website that we were going to before, but instead of seeing San Francisco here, we just want our image. So all we're going to do is replace the word San Francisco, with an image. So the way we do that is we say image, and then we have a source attribute. We paste in our URL, and then we close the image. And what we should see happen when we go back to our web page is that we now have lost my page. We now have an image there instead. And the image is clickable. You can see, oh yeah, look at that. So you can see the pointer that I have over it. So now when I click on that, it should actually take me to the San Francisco page. Yep.
Does it give you a tooltip or?
It gives you at the bottom of the screen, any link in a browser will give you a location.
Oh, nice. I see it.
You see that down at the bottom? So it tells you where it's going to go. Yep, sorry. So it's just image, source, and then you put the URL to the source image. I can put our San Francisco travel site in there too. Oh, that's the image we want.
Can you go back to where I mean?
Yep, sorry. So it's UL, and then just to simplify this, so everybody can see it.
Oh, I didn't even look at it.
Oh, yes. So,
So I'm just replacing the links so they're shorter so you can see the whole code set, right? Don't do this.
so this is,
This won't do anything.
so just to be sure, what you did by putting in the href to make it clickable, but just to embed an image in the page, you kind of put the image source tag by itself
Yeah. So
outside of the href.
yeah. So the anchor tag makes anything that's inside of it clickable. When you put href, it says when I click on it, go to this thing. And then the image, yeah, it just happens to be the thing inside of it. It doesn't need to be inside of an A. It could just be inside a body. It could be anywhere you want. But, yes.
Can you get in the, can you?
Yep, yep.
Oh yeah, you got all kinds of little things going on. So let's see, which thing go on? So you have to close, you need like a greater than before the image.
So we're on the
And
HTML.
then inside of that anchor tag, so for right now you can just write San Francisco. Oh no, you have.
No, I
Everyone's-
got it.
You got
That's
the
the-
image.
yeah. Cool, I just forgot that.
Yep, I think
That's
that's.
all I forgot. Great.
Yeah, and then the HTML is in Slack.
Yeah, and I'll redrop. I'll paste this whole thing into Slack again so you can grab it. Okay, so we have our clickable image, and that's neat, but what if we don't want to have to rely on some external source, because maybe they're going to move that image tomorrow and I have no idea and my site's not going to work anymore. The way that we deal with that is by we're bringing the image down locally, and then we are going to use the local image, a local route to the image, a relative route it's called. Now we can't just do that, fortunately. So if we were working just on our computers, which might be where we go, then you could totally just download the file and then put it into a folder and then make a relative path to it relative to where you are. Because we're working in the Learn IDE, we're not on our computers. Where we actually are is on, which wget is a thing that's available on most Unix systems and probably other things as well. But basically all it does is it does a get to any external website and it pulls down whatever's there. So in our case, it's just going out and it's copying the image down for us. So if you do if you Control C to get out of your HTTP server, and then you type wget and then paste the URL for the image that I put in Slack, then it'll download that image for you. And you can see it showing up here. So in that case, now that the image is on my local computer, I no longer have to reference it with a static URL to some remote source. I can use a relative URL, which in our case, okay, I guess that's it. Which in our case can just be the name of the file because our index.html file is at the same level in our directory structure as the image file. Everybody see that? This is a little confusing concept, so I just want to... So the image file here is at the same level, which is to say they're both inside of the development folder, right? They both exist there. So I can reference it by saying that the source equals and then just the name of the file. We'll make that a little bit more complicated in a second, but if I do that and then I restart my server.
Okay, so when you did wget,
Yep. Yeah.
Was that supposed to show up on the side here? Because it showed up in
Yes.
the text, but I don't see it on the side.
So if you do, so let me press a couple times. Okay, so you need to copy the URL again.
When you copy the URL, does it still have that, like, should we still have the quotation?
No quotes. All the way down to before. Yep, that's it. So copy that. And then if you go back into the terminal, and then type wget space paste. There. Is everybody able to get the wget to work?
Mine's not showing up on the side.
Yeah, see, this one just goes on confused. Okay, so close. It's G-E-T, not G-I-T.
So that's
As you become more of a developer, you make that mistake more and more frequently. Okay, so if you go to the Slack that I just sent,
Thank you.
there, yes, right here. So copy everything. So in that source, thank you. So actually, just copy all this. Scroll up a little bit. Copy everything from the outside.
Yeah.
Yes, so you got to create a whole new HTML.
Yeah, the special action on this.
Like the create the file function.
Right, what I'm telling you is,
So,
Right
Here,
there.
let me check
on the
those
same
out.
page.
Yeah,
So,
this
wait, so you want to have the same option, or just the option to?
okay, say about that.
Okay, so just the option to create a new file. So we call
So now copy everything, so
Yeah, I know what
it's
you mean.
HTTPS all the way through JPEG. So right under
That's too many things.
JPEG. Yeah, you might have an extra quote with this. So if you come in here, type wget.
I don't want to use Windows probably.
Space.
Let's do it that way then.
So you type wget and then paste the.
I bet it did say until I get the
So you have an extra quote. So you can't do it that way versus no more. So you have to move your arrow. The faster you do it, if you will, options.
It's not there.
You press down and press the.
So what did he tell you to do to get your quote? Because it wasn't showing the create new file button.
That.
So I just, I made my zoom smaller. We thought that would be it, but then I just reloaded it.
Press it up. Delete the last.
That's temporary.
I can pull it back into HTML.
So then,
If you,
yeah, so like the Washington DC monuments, you just write that whole thing. Washington DC
Oh, so you literally, gotcha.
Yeah.
But it's further away.
Listen,
Yep.
I am getting a temporary folder when
Yes.
I try to enter Sandbox.
Yeah.
Where
Should it try to refresh? Okay, so I think this might be the same thing. If you make your browser smaller. Yeah, what's in those? On the temporary folder.
Do you have the IDE open in another browser?
Probably. I think that's
So it does, the IDE gets very upset if it's open in two tabs or two browsers at once. Yeah.
You're dating two guys.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
okay.
just the one.
Yeah,
But
so-
I'll close out of it.
Yeah, close it, reopen it, try again.
How about I just with all my 85 tabs?
Yeah, I'll come right back to it. Let me see if I just want to prove that this actually worked, and then we can try to help other people out. Let's see. So if I refresh, now the image is still there, even though I don't have my full static URL. And the reason is that we're referencing it in a relative path, which is to say it's in the same directory as our current one. You can move the file though, right? Because you can imagine as you're building a website and you have hundreds of images, you don't want all of your images with all of your code and you want it to be somewhere else. So what we can do is we can create a new directory, or we can create a new folder. Let's just call it images. And then we're going to take our files, and I don't think it's going to let us do this, it's not. We're going to have to do it, the fancy way, which is going to be fun. So the way that we're going to do that, after you create your images directory, we're going to move the file from where it is into the images directory through the command line. The way you do that, you can Control-C so you're no longer in your HTTP server. You're going to type MV, which means move, and then a space, and then the name of your file. So in my case, it's 5D, etc. If you start typing the name of your file and then press tab, it should autocomplete for you, unless there's another file with the same first letter, in which case you might have to tab or type a couple more letters. So we're going to move the file into the images directory like that. So this says move this file into images and then / dot. Dot means inside of the directory. It's just like at the base, at the root of the directory. Could probably do it even without the dot. Nope. So now you should have your image inside of your images directory. So it's this command. That's where tab comes in handy. Because if it can tab complete for you, you don't have to type it. So nothing. What if you open an incognito window? Okay. So I think, yeah, Command Shift and you can use your GitHub. Oh, there you go.
No, it's to access images. But yeah.
It shouldn't really matter where, like, you click sandbox there, I think it's all going to say
What's the deal? Which meant bladder.
Yeah, that's not great.
What about?
So
what you can do is just open up, like create a directory on your computer, and then just create an index.html file. Were you here when we downloaded Atom? I think you should have. Can you go to atom.io?
Atom or
yeah, that other one.
T?
Yeah, so .io. And download. Install that, and then I'll come back to you and get it.
Okay.
You don't need to learn any for this stuff. It's just what you know right now.
Okay.
All right. So how have we gotten to this point? We gotten the image moved? No. Okay. So I think it's just.
S. Spell. Oh, okay. You created a file called images
Oh, so we're full.
instead of a folder. So you have to delete that first. So the easiest way to do that, you can do rm, just type rm, space I, tab, m, tab,
Tab. Type tab on this
just
website.
tab. So that deletes it. Remove is that command. So now if you create a folder, so you can press it up a couple times. Yeah. There you go. Alright. So now is everybody? Do we?
All right. So now our image isn't going to work anymore because the source is looking for the file inside of this directory, but it's not going to be there. And just make sure that I don't have that extra. I think it's got a different name. It's got to have a different name. But okay. So if I go back to my website now, after I do HTTP server, the simple things, guys. All right, so you see the broken image thing, which you've probably seen on a bunch of sites before, because I'm not linking to it correctly. I'm still linking to it in the same directory, and it's not in the same directory. So if I want to link to something that's in a different directory, I use the same pathing that we were using the other day to move like up and down directories. So I, for example, can change this to be dot, which is the current directory that I'm in, slash images slash, and that's where the file is. It's yours still work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if you go back to the code, we want to, instead of using HTTPS, all of that, you just want to use the file.
Okay.
So delete all that. Delete the and slash. Yep, save that.
Please.
Yep, and then now it's broken.
Okay.
So now if you do the pathing that I did, it'll fix it.
Weren't you able to just put images slash instead of the dot?
So you don't technically have to put dot slash images because it assumes that you're starting at your current directory. It's just a more explicit way. It's the same thing. It becomes more interesting, like if index was inside of another directory and I needed to go up, then I'd have to dot dot slash.
Right.
So for example, and then we can do that. You don't need to follow this. I'm just gonna. Oh, there's a move button. Anyway, I'm just. Yeah, I'm just going to create a directory. I'm gonna try and do this faster. You guys can watch some commands. So make a directory called www, and I'm gonna move my index into the www directory. So now, if I HTTP server, I'm back into this broken state, but if I go into the www directory, I go back into a better broken state, but now my image isn't linked correctly. So to get my image to link correctly,
Okay.
you got it?
It magically popped up.
Okay, maybe it's just being slow. I'm not sure. So index.html is inside of our www directory, which is not the same directory as images. So now when I do my reference, I have to do just like we would have before, dot dot, which is say move up a directory and then go into the images directory, and then that's where the image is. Right? So it's the same, it's basically the same. When you're creating relative paths, you want to write it the same way as though you were trying to change directories into where the image's regular directory is. So if I Control-C out of HTTP server, I need to cd to dot dot, and what I'll see there is everything that's in my current. So if I'm at this in the same directory as index.html, which is www. So if I cd into there, Then to get to my image, I have to CD up a directory, which will show us where our images are, and then I need to go into the images directory, and that's where the JPEG file actually is. So this is the path that I need to use. However you would from the same directory that index.html is, CD to, or the same thing, ls, so list all the files inside of a directory, use the same syntax to get there. So this is a good way of like figuring out what should my path be. You move into the directory where index.html is and you try and // until you can find the actual
So I
thing.
have to do it twice.
Yeah, because you might have to do it twice, because if index.html was inside of another directory, we'd have to // images, etc. It's about pathing, though. It's all about trying to go up a couple directories and then going back down into those directories. We won't do that very often in this class. Pretty much everything will be at the same level. You won't have to worry about doing that relative pathing, but it is something that as projects expand, you're going to need to be able to understand.
So the way that this is written right now, is the image working?
Yeah, so the way it's written right now, the image is working, it should be. Yep. So you see I'm inside www, that goes and finds the index.html file inside of there, displays it into the browser, and then this, and we can actually look, if you inspect the element, you'll see our images at /images/.
So do we have to create that www folder in order for this to work?
No, not at all. I'm just trying to prove that
Okay.
when you're in a lower level directory, so the further removed your index.html file is from your images, potentially the more complex the pathing, the relative pathing becomes.
And it's not showing up on mine either.
So that's yes. So it would only work with, so if you wrote,
No, I'm not getting the image on my. Okay.
so if your source is //images and you're not inside the www directory, it will not work.
I just did one dot.
Yeah. So one dot should.
Should work, right?
Yeah. If it's inside the images directory,
Well, this.
I use a slash.
I just say it now.
It is. Yep. It's almost always the little things. So that's out. That's over. Looks like it should be good. Can you go back to your server?
Maybe it's not my server.
Maybe. It looks like it's still on, but it might have moved. Like your server, did you recopy and paste the server,
No.
this IP address? Because it changes sometimes. So the Control C to stop it because it's running right now. And then you press up. Then copy it. So you probably have to go full screen to get. Yeah, so copy HTTP. This is old codes. Is it? Oh, did you see? This is old codes. Can you go back here? I have no idea. It doesn't have your new code for some reason.
I did do that Google.com.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there it is. It looks like there's a space between images and the slash. Yeah, I think there's a space. So the backspace is this.
Well, I did it twice, so maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
There you go. That's all. Okay.
So any questions about document structure? about links, about images and relative and static tags. Okay. So with links, you can do the same thing, by the way. So let's go through that exercise quickly, and then we'll take a break.
So I had a question.
Yep.
This might be like a little bit too much.
Yep.
So in reference to the image, if we wanted to place like text around the image and have its position relative to the image, would that be something we have to all put in a div container, or
You could.
or is that something you can do in the image tag itself?
So you wouldn't put it inside the image tag itself. So the image tag doesn't even really, it's one of those tags that doesn't actually have a closing tag. So it is just the opening tag. So you never put anything inside of the image tag. If you want text there, you usually put it next to the image. So you can put it in a div, or you can just write the text. So we can do that example quickly. So I'll get back to the right place. And then let's say I want to put San Francisco in there and be part of the link too. I can just type San Francisco. Now it's not great because it's off to the side, but it's there and it's part of the link. If I wanted to not make it a link, maybe I just want the image to be the link. Then I can potentially put it outside of that anchor tag, which though I don't think is actually going to change the position. Yeah, so it's still off to the right. But if I wanted to put it below, then one way to do that is with a div. Another way would be with a P. Another way would be with an H1. Really, it's anything that's what's called a block element, which we'll get into a little bit more, but anything that expects that it will move on to the next line is what the block element is. So there, we actually have it on the next line. So that's one.
Can you give a title to the image? Like if the cursor was like hovering over it, something in here.
Yeah, so you could actually add, it's called title, I believe. Title equals which is also useful for ADA compliance.
Is that the same as the alt text?
Yeah, the alt text. Maybe, yeah, so you see, so it's not the same. So alt, you'd still want to have alt to say things, but this helps. Having title helps with the attributes. So yeah, now tooltips are horrible, really, because like they're really slow in the way that they show up, and they look ugly and like all that kind of stuff. There are pretty tooltips that we'll get into where you can make them show up a different way, but yeah, as a simple, just make a title show up the table. All right. So the only other example I want to do before we take a break is to link our href. So we are currently, when we click on this, we go to the external site for the San Francisco tourism. Well, let's say that we want to create our own San Francisco page. The way we're going to do that, instead of having this we're going to create a new file called San Francisco. It's called san_fran.html. And we see our sanfran.html files right there. Let's go ahead and just for simplicity's sake, let's copy everything from index.html into sanfran.html. And then let's delete everything in the body from our sanfran.html. And then we're just going to put an H1 that says San Fran tourism site. Just so you can see.
That was a little too quick.
Yep, sorry. So I created a new file called sanfran.html, copy everything that's in index.html, paste it in sanfran.html, and then delete everything within the body tag. Basically, you want to end up with a sanfran.html file that looks like this. What's up? Ask questions at that point.
Make faces.
Yeah.
Wait, so I'm still not getting.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
I made the San Fran HTML.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna copy and paste.
index.html, the whole thing.
Oh, the whole thing.
Yep. Basically, we're trying to get back. Look, I'm just trying to speed up the process by which we get our doc structure.
Okay.
Right. I'm just trying to speed up the process by which we get doc type HTML, HTML head, body HTML, so that we can start playing inside the body, which is what matters.
Okay. So copy that whole thing and put it inside of sanfran.html.
Yep. And then just delete everything inside the body tag, so that it's back to like a blank page.
Okay. Sorry.
Yep. No. I mean.
After that, I'm just wondering.
Yep.
So if I did HTTP server, then I can have a link to this?
No. So we haven't done the link yet. We're just setting up the page so that it exists. So right now, that's our page. So we created this new page. We can get to it from HTTP server. If instead of going directly to our website here, if we go to /sanfran.html, we'll see our page. Okay, and this is how URLs work in general. Usually, for most sites like google.com or whatever, you are going to the index.html page, but you can go to any other HTML page by using / and then whatever the directory structure is to get to that page. So, but we don't want to make our users have to know exactly what the URL is to be able to get there. We want to create a link from our index.html page that takes them there. The way that we're going to do that, if we go back to our index.html page, right now our href is still pointing to that old tourism site, but we don't want to go there anymore. Now we want to go to our new fancy page. So it's in the same directory as our index.html page. So what's a relative route to sanfran.html? What should I put here? What's that?
That's in your way.
Yeah, either way, that's fine.
I would just type, in your case, san_fran.html.
Yep, that's right. Because it's in the same directory structure, it's in the exact same directory, so we can just do sanfran.html. And then when we go back to our page, now when we click on it, it takes us to sanfran.html. And then we could, if we want to get a little bit fancy, if you copy that anchor tag in the image and you go to San Fran, and then maybe right above the H1, we want to paste it. We're going to replace our image with the word back, and we're going to make the href index.html. Now we'll have a back button on our San Fran page that takes us back. Alright, so now if I go, there's a back button. When I click back, so I go back. Does that make sense? Questions? It doesn't have to make sense. I'm not saying it needs to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, let me know so we can. Okay.
So we changed San Fran to index, right? Or
Nope.
or no?
So like in my directory, right, I still have an index.html and I still have a sanfran.html. My sanfran.html file now has an href equals index.html with back inside of it, and then the back A. That's what creates the back button on my sanfran.html page. So when I'm here, I have this back link.
Okay. And so when you type back, it just automatically renders a button?
It renders a link, yeah, with the word back.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay.
Makes sense? So basically anything you put in between the opening A and the closing A, it will display as a link,
Okay.
whether it's an image or a word or whatever.
Okay.
All right? Other questions? All right, so let's go ahead and take like a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and keep going.
How are you?
Good. Little crazy day today.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
Am I coming through the right door, the front rework door, and if those elevators in my car should work right there, right?
Yes, it should.
Okay, so it wasn't working. But
Okay.
it worked like in all these doors, though. So like to get in the WeWork area, like the car was working.
I think it's
Are you
all
meaning
this.
a building?
So I mean the actual 1440 G Street.
Oh.
You walk in and then walk by that guard,
Yep.
those elevators right there. My car should work in those elevators.
You shouldn't need a card in those elevators.
After 6.
Oh, after 6 you do? I get here like 10 minutes before that, so. Yeah, it should work in there. So it didn't work in the elevator. But it
No,
worked in
but it worked up here.
Do you
It's
have-
crazy, right?
Sometimes the security guards let come down,
Okay.
but I know that my card works on any of the things, so the castle part of the system may be what is giving you a hard time. Take your card.
Let's go get. Why don't we go try it now? I'm gonna see.
I just smiled at the guards and she let me in.
Yeah.
Be show.
What up?
How are things?
Good.
I see you've done all your homework.
I have. I was rocking out. Was it yesterday evening? Yeah.
Nice. I was so busy at work yesterday. I was like, I'm not opening a computer right now.
I had my wife. I was like, you and our son need to go to the library for a little while. I need some. So.
Nice. I was like, okay, so Michelle's done all of the things.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you?
No.
No, not yet. Okay, we
So,
got all
I work in tech though, so
right.
it's
So
like,
you get a lot of it already.
yeah, most of it is putting it all together because I've done a lot of this stuff like piecemeal.
Yeah, for me, this is all brand new. Like when we're in class right now, I'm like catching up, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, cool, I get it, you know. But I'm a little bit slower, I think, than most. But yeah, it's going good so far.
Good.
Yeah, because this is totally new. Like I said, I've never
No, I'm glad.
done
Like
anything like it.
I'm taking advantage of what my company is offering.
That's
So,
awesome. Yeah, anytime you can.
What up, Chicago? Tired.
Same.
I ran here from another building.
Another WeWork building?
Technology services manager.
So how far is it?
Trenton.
Oh god.
But I manage like 3 buildings, so I could be anywhere.
Yeah. So do you code it all in your current position?
A little. I script things to make my life easier. So JavaScript. But this is not unfamiliar.
Okay. Really?
What about you?
No, not at all.
No.
I just I took some online free classes, like Code Academy, for a couple of months. And I'm just hoping when this boot camp is over, I know how to code because I need a new job immediately.
Did you not feel like after the boot camps and Code Academy that?
Oh, I didn't do any of the boot camps. I just did some of the Code Academy courses on my own. So yeah, I definitely like, this is not unfamiliar. The first day definitely was not unfamiliar. I had already taught myself how to set up a developer environment. I already have Adam and all those programs he was talking about. But I didn't really get well versed in JavaScript, so I'm hoping that.
That's a whole other lifestyle.
Yeah.
I have friends all they do is Java.
Yeah. So that's what I need. JavaScript and React. I think for front end.
Did you get them sorted?
No, it does not work for the elevator.
Really?
Yeah, so I think you're probably right. It's probably different permissions to get into the building versus getting into WeWork. So
So Aaron is gonna have to give a new card
yeah,
or add the permissions because it comes from our security people.
yeah. So I'll let her know and hopefully she can sort it out.
I actually walked past her.
Oh really?
When I was leaving the building.
Mm-hmm.
But got coming in.
Yeah.
Are there any websites that you recommend to just like practice?
Yeah. So there's a couple. I'll put a bunch.
Kind of one.
Okay. So you work in the building as well? With other spaces?
I work for WeWork.
Oh, okay.
So W3schools.com has a whole bunch of examples for all the stuff that we're going to be going over. There's Pluralsight has a bunch of tutorials.
Yeah, I got like.
So this is actually not really a special choice.
Really?
But you are in DC.
Yeah.
So this guy, there's a whole bunch. So if you look for like HTML basics, HTML, HTML5, so they have 12 courses at various levels. So here's a bunch of beginner courses, and they do a really good job of they break it up into short content pieces. So each lesson is like 6 to 8 minutes. And so you get like a concept, and when you understand that, then you move on to the next one. So that's a pretty good place to go. Outside of that, it's largely just Googling and then just playing with stuff on your own, which is where, like maybe today before we leave class, I'll do a lesson on how to just do this on your computer outside of Learn, so that you can just play around in a file and make stuff happen.
I feel like I just need to like keep doing it.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, just doing it over and over and over again.
Okay.
What's this?
I actually lived in Boston.
So yeah, this is a site.
I just moved back to DC. Like I'm in Washington.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. So this is, I'm sorry, but it'll show up there when you finally get in. So Pluralsight is a website that has a bunch of tutorials on it. It's a lot of video tutorials. They're short content pieces. So even though these say like the entire course is 4 hours and 30 minutes, or this one's 2 hours and 13 minutes, each piece is broken down into like a small video that's generally like 10 minutes long. And then you can like go over a specific concept and come to understand that before you move on to the next piece. So you don't have to spend 2 hours sitting through a lecture to be able to get the content and the information. So there's that, and then there's W3schools.com is the other place that I would suggest you go to.
Does this give you like sandbox space? I know W3 School does.
Yeah, some of the lessons, so like this one says it's interactive. So this one will be like our Learn environment where it will allow you to actually try and pass tests to be able to get through to the next piece.
Do we get a membership to Pluralsight?
No, so a lot of Pluralsight stuff though, at least the starter courses are free. So yeah,
It's a good site.
it's a good site. I used to use Code School, which got acquired by them.
Oh, okay.
I was a big fan of the stuff that they did there. So now if you go there, it says Code School.
How do you feel about?
Go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how do you feel about like free code camp?
A free code camp? I mean, could be awesome. I don't know. I mean, it all depends on who is like giving the instruction, if they actually know what they're talking about and that type of thing. But
So free code camp, that's like pretty much self-paced. That's what it is.
yeah, so I think so. Yeah, it's definitely self-paced. It's definitely all like online content, self-paced stuff. So, all right.
So pro site that's
It's not just like it's a bunch of tech, like pretty much everything you want to learn.
Yeah, Pluralsight's like everybody puts up tutorials on how to do everything tech related there.
okay.
Yeah, so they have everything from Git to Java to HTML to React to everything. All right, so we're going to spend the next 30, 45 minutes working on labs. I think we're going to do the same thing as last time where we break up into groups and work together. We can work in groups of 3, but I do want to like mix, so we'll try and like every class try and mix more so that you guys get to know each other better. You feel comfortable asking each other questions, that type of thing. So we're just going to do, I'm just going to, so just say 1 or 2 as we go down the line, I guess. We'll do it that way. So
1.
2, 1.
1, 2. So as soon as we go over there, I guess I want to come over here. Yeah, so then if you guys want to all work together, somebody will do the typing and everybody else will just make sure they do it right. Yeah.
I want to do the reading because I haven't read anything.
Okay. Yeah, so it should be, I mean, the read.html should bring you through each of the pieces. In our HTML fundamentals, the first one, the document structure is just the stuff that we went over. It's just going to ask you to get through creating something that looks like this, and basically it just wants you to put these pieces, which it gives you the examples for, in the right spot. So we're gonna, there's your HTML, and then you want to put your meta tags inside of your head, put your links inside of your head, put your title inside of your head. That's pretty much it. And then online you go.
So we start with that.
Yeah, so I would suggest start with that one.
Yeah, I did this one.
I did this one.
All right, so
Wait, am I typing? What happened? Okay.
If it's easy too, you can grab the screen. Do you have the Solstice thing?
I'm sure that I do.
So there's the Solstice app, which is actually kind of valuable on here. So when you have problems, you can just throw it up.
Where's the URL? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm finding it.
oh,
Hold
all right,
on.
cool. So we can do that.
I think it's going to tell us actually. Where
Yeah. So there we go. I got it.
Charge you want to drive this?
What is this?
This is Solstice. It's how we connect to screens around here.
Yeah, so it's just an app that you download that once you download it, it gives you this, so you have this little interface, and you can choose that I want to cast my desktop to that screen,
Okay.
and it just shares your screen up there. That's all.
Okay.
Through the Wi-Fi. It's just,
Just,
So we're just gonna work through the problem together, but you'll be doing the actual code.
Alright, so this is the task here, creating an unordered and orderless.
yeah, so there you are. Boom.
Here, dark quiche.
Yeah, I must assign a random name.
I did the unordered list. I think I did this. fine with that. I just pretty much just took it straight from here.
Okay.
Oh, that's actually, so that's not the actual lesson. The lesson's
So
gonna
don't do that,
It's fine. It's
I'm
fine.
not listening at a point. Now.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll just do this when I get
Yeah, no, it's fine.
be the actual.
Wait.
So you want to go to there? You go. And then
Fundamentals, right?
yeah, document structure lab. First one.
So
Oh,
they call it a challenge, so they always say they're like mixing in they're showing you what they were talking about before, but then the actual lab is in it. So, no, for the first part of the challenge reinforce. Sorry.
Cool.
So, reinforce our understanding of miscommunication.
Okay.
Start in.
Anybody want to read to me?
Yes, okay. Every HTML document has a specific set of required tags. Because these are required every time you create a web page, it's valuable to gain a more in-depth understanding of what these tags do and why they are useful and how they work in context to the modern web. In this lesson, we will be both reviewing what we have learned about a well-formed HTML document and expanding a bit on the doc type HTML and head tags, as well as introducing how to add comments within our HTML code. Okay, so objectives, there are 4. Reinforce our understanding of basic HTML document structure, introduce HTML comments, expand our understanding of the head section and its contents, and reinforce our understanding of document structure through creation. Okay.
Yeah, so then
Let's quickly review the bare essentials of an HTML document in the provided index HTML file. Add the following tags. So for index HTML,
so they're telling you that
we're
first.
going
You
to
have
add
to
the
like, create
following
an order.
tags. A doc type tag,
So we have 1, 2.
I think we need to delete that from the first one.
First was items 2 slices, right?
Is there a space after doc type?
Yes.
2 slices. Next list of items.
So the reason why I ended it, you have to put an exclamation point before the D.
So the doc type tag always has the
And then
exclamation point first.
next
Yeah.
list of
So I
items,
cancel that name tag.
Yeah.
You said it in what?
So you can delete that end
Yeah,
tag.
that's what I was going
Yeah,
to. Because
yeah.
you said something else.
The P and the
All
last
this in
switch
tags?
together.
It actually does.
So it's like-
I misspelled something once and it.
And it's like fail.
And it told me exactly, it said an error in this, and I was like, oh shit, I misspelled mozzarella.
That's right. It's
Yeah,
supposed to do
you
that.
can
Yeah.
You switch
Alright,
it,
the
yeah.
first part of this challenge is index.html. Create, we did that, this place freeze, run, learn, see.
So you just want to delete that.
But I don't need this.
Yeah.
To close, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So you don't close the doc type tag?
You don't close the doc type
Okay.
tag. Yeah, it's just at the top.
Okay, just a second, guys. I just want to make a note of that.
So, scroll up.
And what's your name? Nate.
Do not close.
So adding nested unword list tag.
Okay,
In one of the
Okay.
unword
Opening,
lists.
closing
That's the error
HTML tags.
it's telling you there. So if you go back, it's going to tell us now the lesson. It's saying that we're going to want to nest unword cheese. 3
opening and
different
closing
cheese.
head
Well,
tags
we
nested
see it.
inside
It
of the
says this
HTML
is a
tags.
success, but
Right, so we passed the first part of the test. Yep, because there's only
Yes, two
Okay.
examples.
one failure.
Okay,
So you got one.
Opening and closing body tags nested
Alright, so-
inside of HTML tags, but not nested
So
inside
you
of the head
unload
tag.
this, unload this, or another
Unword.
unload this, okay? Unload this.
No, sorry, yeah, unword list.
Unload this.
Okay,
That right under.
now run
process
learn.
entries.
Mhm.
Okay, and within that.
Yep.
I'm going to do each.
Yep, correct.
Okay.
You failed
Was our
everything.
failure, man?
So if you scroll up a little bit in that IDE,
so.
in the terminal, yeah, there you go.
So,
Head is missing a required child a title. I
Just
would
just
prefer a
look nice,
title.
yeah.
Okay.
I think it already does,
Yeah, so it's saying
Actually,
you need to put a title tag inside of your head tag.
Then yeah, to look good, it should be that.
So when it tells you to run learn, it's just saying run learn to see your first error. It's not actually you're not finished yet. Yeah, yeah, you're just not finished. Yeah, so that's the thing. Failing tests is not like a bad thing. They're just there to help you to finish the rest of the instructions. So.
Okay, so next one.
So
Okay.
what am I typing here?
Just a second. Okay, at the top of every HTML document, you're always going to start off with the same element type. But this is just an explanation here right now.
Okay.
Nate, do you remember where?
So now,
That's the
set
HTML.
that.
HTML comments.
No, I mean, what are we coding next? What goes in next? What next is next to the tab? Shakara, you got it?
Yeah, we're right here. Okay, so one attribute that's important to include in the HTML tag is language, which declares what language the web page is written in. In our case, writing in English, we would use
So I think what this is
equals
trying to,
quotation
for me, what I
Yeah.
took away from it,
Where does that go?
in the
is that
HTML
like
tag.
there's kind of a way of teaching.
After,
Copy.
before,
So it's gonna have to
and, body.
It's in the tag, so after
Next,
HTML,
if you look
Yeah,
down,
it's a space.
Here?
yeah, lang
it's gonna tell you that it wants another
equals
list telling you how to
Quotation.
actually make the change.
en.
So that error like should have been there
Go.
because we haven't gotten that.
Okay.
This really helped me kind of learn how to see how to.
Introduce HTML
So once
comments.
one more on our list.
Sometimes we want to leave
Couple words
notes,
and say-
either for ourselves or for other developers inside of our HTML file.
Sorry, it's being funny.
Oh, France.
An example might be a brief explanation of what some part of the code is doing, or an important message or reminder. We can write comments by wrapping the text we want, like
Right,
so.
order list that displays these 5 steps, okay.
What's this now?
So where do we put that?
I don't know where the one is to put this.
Can you go inside that?
You put it wherever you want. So comments are literally just for readability. So they're just there for programmers to read. They don't have any impact at all on your actual code. You can put it anywhere.
So we can put the comment there.
I'm assuming
It's a open bracket, exclamation point.
under.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Greater, less than.
Greater than, less than?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a less than.
Exclamation point,
See how the closing one.
dash, dash.
Whole list, I was
Here we go.
This is English.
This is a comment.
So you see it it actually commented out everything underneath,
list title.
which is fine. It's just because you haven't closed it yet. She'll tell you.
Space,
Boosh.
dash, dash. Greater than.
There we go.
Okay.
Cool.
That is- it just says text in the comment will not be visible on the browser.
Then
It just won't be the same English.
That's right. Nobody will ever read it.
Yeah, this is the one.
Okay. This is just some information about the head. I'm not sure that we need to write anything, but I'll read it. Inside our HTML tags, we divide the page into two main sections, head and body, which both play equals. The remainder of our HTML lessons will be covering everything within the body section, but before we get there, there are some additional bits of information we need to understand regarding the head.
Right.
The head section is not visible to a website visitor, but it contains a lot of useful info about our webpage. In the head section, we place a number of specific tags, most notably
With
meta,
second slice of bread.
link, and title.
Alright, we got it.
Not yet. Okay, the link is when we're linking
Turn
to
over
an image or another webpage, right?
and.
Right?
Sorry.
Yes. And then the title is what's written in the tab. And what's meta again?
Meta is just like information about the website. So you can put like meta description, and then you can just provide some description. You put the
Okay.
author. You can put. It's just information that can be used by. Usually, it's used by web crawlers, search engines, to be able to find keywords. Yeah, you can put keywords. That's right, exactly.
Okay. Well, I guess I could have read that. The meta tag provides the meta tag about the document.
That's what I'm here for.
Including what character set to use, a description of the content, specific keywords, the author. Adding some metadata to the content of the page helps search engines know what the page contains. So taking the time to include these will help bump your web pages up and rank for relevant searches. There's also a viewport method, which instructs the browser on how to control the page's dimensions and scaling. This becomes important when adding
Oh, you
styling,
know what?
as some mobile devices automatically scale web pages if there is not a specific setting provided. Examples of the meta tags types we can add in our section are the chart set that we did before, name, which equals description, content, which equals the description of the content, etc., etc. Link tag is for importing files, which we just did. And then the title is the common tag we find in the head. That's what goes
That's
with the
what
tab.
this.
Okay, so,
Oh, you know what?
but it never told us to write.
Yeah, so it's not explicit about any of it, but I want you to put all those things in the right place.
So,
Okay,
meta, right?
But opening and
So after
closing,
four
right?
slices of cheese.
Or these-
Yes, the easiest thing to do is just copy from what's there. So if you want to open another tab and go to Learn Co again,
Because right now, that's a list item, right?
Or,
Then you just got.
Don't open the IDE again, but-
Sit right there.
yeah. So go to Learn.
You know, just take away the closing.
And then go to Curriculum.
No, it should already be there, right? Or hit save, you might get a red X at the same.
Yeah, go back to the lab. Scroll down. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, so like all this meta stuff, all this stuff in this example, you want to copy that and then put it into the head.
The web page and see how it looks, you know, see.
Yeah.
Good.
And then it'll be the same thing with the links and the other stuff that's in those examples.
Yeah, I'm really
you do a
slow.
split screen, can't you?
I can, but that's why I had you to read.
You're copying and pasting though.
I'm good. Yeah, that's what we were doing, right?
Yeah, and I think they want you to go ahead and copy the link one too.
Sometimes it takes time.
So I think that's going to do. Nope, maybe not.
No?
You're good. Yeah.
Wait. Oh, okay.
Or
There's just more of them. Yeah. So no, it doesn't duplicate itself, does it?
this one?
No. Yeah, you do need that one too. You need both of them.
I need the little one.
Yeah, you need the little one and the big one.
So you finished yours already?
Which one is it?
The HTML table file?
Yes.
Did you,
Yeah, I haven't done
did you want to go back and do those? Tables, no.
You want us to keep going on that, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna come back together and keep going on labs, but yeah, you can keep going if you're done with them. It's fine. We haven't covered the material yet, but you should be able to figure it out. It's not too bad.
Wait. Where do we have a CSS on?
You haven't defined it anywhere. I don't think. Oh yeah, look, it is. There's a style.css.
Right. I'm looking, I'm like, where is it now?
The other ones do not exist. It is possible that you don't need them,
Is
but
there a style? Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's in our style sheet. Let's look. Did I copy everything? No, we need to copy the title. Yeah?
Yeah,
But that goes after.
yeah, after the links.
or before the order of
I was
things.
gonna.
The order of things in the head it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
No,
So putting it after, right after the head tag.
that should also be fine.
Yeah.
So now you should be able to run learn.
You said now should be mid learn.
Yeah.
Or method.
So type learn in the. Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I copied everything.
Sets of data like this, and many separate components.
Boom. Did it.
What? That should come out failures.
So, and there won't be much to see, but you can HTTP server and go look at it.
We take elements, practice each, like this is introduce a table tag. So we got the table tag, perfect.
And
Table, right, open the table tag, got that.
What's that?
Table.
as far as structured, all of those things need to be indented.
You should for readability purposes because they're nested within the head tag, so it should all be indented inside of the head tag.
Okay.
Table rows, TR.
Yeah, so there's nothing here because except the title of the thing because we didn't put anything in the body.
But I
But
should be able to like go to the.
so if you inspect, you'll see all those things. If you right click,
Thank you.
Yes.
so if you right click on the page,
Order really matters.
Yeah. and then you'll see if you click on that, if you yeah, it's right there. And if you click on the arrow next to the head, then you'll see all your code.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
That's so little tacky.
And you only have 9 errors.
Did you say what?
So you see,
It's because some of the CSS files don't exist.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine. It's just, if you click on that, it'll tell you. See, it says it couldn't find engineering departments.css project X.
So no
Type
resources.
it's just because they don't actually exist.
And this page was loaded non-temporarily.
Yep, yep.
Browser.
Yep. It's all good.
Sir, don't you tell me how I like mine.
Yeah, they don't pay for the certs for all these IP addresses, so
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Are we doing the next one?
So you're good on that one, yep. So you want to type Control C to get out of that HTTP server.
So we don't need to do a learn submit on that?
Well, you have to Control C first.
Not to Control C first?
Yeah,
You can't.
and then you can learn submit.
That's nice, the learn.
I mean,
What is
the
the
emphasis on the earn.
writing?
Yeah. And then I would copy everything in index.html and slack it to these guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Okay. Even though we write, we just figure out, on top down, we see these headers and go, and mind up back to right. I was just gonna do that. You can still have this so it's funny because
Nate,
we're writing down,
That's it?
it's like,
Now track.
you done Nate Dog?
they said left to right, so it'd be like
Are you Samuel?
Chris H. Like that, right? And then row 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
I need you to put a picture of me, thanks, appreciate it.
Alright, so let's clean it up. We got index open already. The first row, it's almost always
Upper right.
T tag represents.
Or yeah,
So when you say right, you mean the other right?
yeah. You got it.
I'm gonna need y'all to work with my ADHD today. I'm like at the end of my medication. So text formatting,
Yeah.
As long as each bit of data and TD is in the same position as the corresponding TH in the first row, it will show up in that column.
Okay.
Structure,
Ready?
1, include 3 decimal party, our entire table.
Okay.
Table at the top, table at the bottom, TR. First
In a
row,
browser,
all
all
three
physical
headers,
content of an HTML document is contained within
close
the body
head,
tag.
first row.
HTML developers will also define here.
First row,
All formatting and styling, adding images, and links, etc. work being done in the visible content of the web page. In modern HTML, there's actually quite a lot that can go into this work, but when it comes to getting started, the best place is by adding and formatting the text content. So we're going to go over some HTML tags that are important for formatting text. Objectives, learn the most common text
Paste
formatting
this
tags.
into
and practice what we learned by getting some content to appear on a web page. Open index. Okay, take a look at what is there. We see that we have the basic HTML skeleton provided, so all we need to focus on is adding content to the body. Okay. First, let's get started by typing hello world inside the body tags. With some content written,
Yeah,
we
that's funny.
can start up HTTP server. So start the server.
I've typed hello world so many times, I'm like, okay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So much bigger, brighter. Really?
That's in there too. Okay. Cool, we've got text on the page. Head back to the text editor and in index HTML, hit return twice so you're 2 lines below hello world.
Boom. Alright.
No, you're
Uh-oh,
not.
wait.
Alright.
2 lines
You have that
above?
table with
Yes.
4 rows.
Here,
3
type
columns,
hello
3
moon.
columns. Context match 50. Gotcha. Reinforce our understanding of these 2 tables through rich. Okay, now it's time to put what we learned from the test. This challenge, we tasked with creating a table using the following.
Now let's look at our page, our server.
Gotcha. Alright.
Do we have to hit?
No.
It should
Should've-
just automatically update?
Yeah.
Create a table dedicated to those.
Yeah.
Just focus on that data.
Okay.
So we're gonna delete this.
We've got text on the page.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, we don't have to, but for the sake
Paragraphs, we're
where.
talking about paragraphs now.
So
On the same line as hello world, right
let's
before,
get it back.
add
to
the paragraph tag.
What does that look like?
P. And then close it.
So in our tables, we have,
Okay. It wants your
first
words to be in
rows,
between
right?
those opening and closing tags.
Your one's what?
It wants the words in between those opening and closing tags.
You didn't say that part.
It does it
Right.
automatically.
In there.
Yeah, so just close the tag. Okay.
This table header, so it's TH.
And then do the
So
same
within
for
that,
icon.
TH.
I'm
Very
very
good. So the first one.
You guys doing good?
Yeah. Let's see.
So we put all 3 within
Yes,
this
yes.
table, right? Okay.
Okay, now let's look at it. Okay, it just makes more paragraphs.
So we've got city
Okay, now we're gonna talk about headers. There are 6.
and 2000.
Aside from paragraphs, it would be nice to be able to indicate titles, headings, and subheadings in our page. The way we do this is by header tags from largest H1 down to the smallest H6.
So then.
Above our paragraph tags inside the
4
body,
more rows, instead of using the TH tag in there, instead of TH,
write title, the opening and closing
So we'll do
H1.
another,
So
H1.
H1,
Another row, so TR.
Mm-hmm.
close it.
I got you. Keep going.
We just write title.
So we'll go TD.
That's cool.
So we'll do,
Okay.
so
Okay.
we'll do New
If you
York,
add-
we'll go straight like that, right? So we'll go TD.
Oh, and for,
TD,
then do the same
New York,
thing with
so
H2,
Okay.
I think.
right beneath.
No, because remember, like, think about your headers. Remember, you even though you're writing,
We're going left to right. You're right.
Okay.
Right. So first TD would be New York.
Okay, I didn't explain that very well.
So-
Let's go back. Okay, so, Okay. the head one's title, and
Oh,
then
that's what it
go
was.
down
I
a
was, like
line,
for Los Angeles, I didn't put an extra 9, so I
Yeah.
added 39
down a line,
or 390.
399,759.
And I caught it, that was my error.
okay,
But you want a space here?
yes. Okay, now put the
It's
H2
two
title in that
columns.
space.
Yeah.
Yes, right beneath page 1, put H2.
Now, just for that, say we didn't have this, right? We were checking this, save that for a second. Save it.
They can also actually say subtitle.
Just to see.
You maybe
It
better.
does.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see?
Just put some stuff out a little bit.
Okay,
In this case, we will close this row, right?
now we can look at it.
Can I take the space between those out?
Okay.
TR. All right.
Yeah, they just want you to see that smaller.
TVs again, this time.
They want you to do that for the rest of the, so right beneath the, go all the way to 6. Yeah.
All the way to 6,
Yep.
right next,
Yeah, that's what they want.
H3.
Yep.
That's like H3.
Row.
Separate.
No, it's good. I'm typing everything else.
Copy and paste.
Okay.
Okay. As you see, they get smaller. Okay. Now I want to talk about italics, bold, emphasis, and strong tags. Sometimes when it comes to formatting, we want to add some emphasis to a small part of our text, typically by italicizing a word or a phrase. In this case,
I
we
went to
can
Temple's
use
with Billy's mind out.
emphasis tag, which is
Chicago, Boston.
less than, em, greater than, for emphasis. In addition, for times when we want to bold text, we can use the bold tag, which is just a B. If you've dabbled in HTML before, you may be aware that there are 2 other types that can also be used. I, which is for italics, B is bold,
Yes.
M is emphasis, strong is strong.
Okay.
Tags are introduced in HTML5 and are newer than I
Slow
and
Emphasis is EM.
B. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
If you've never been to summers are amazing, like the whole summer.
That's interesting.
They only have 2 seasons,
Yeah.
so,
Well, I
Winter
guess
time,
that's
stay away.
winter, stay away.
And you're like a week and a half of fall.
That's it, that's it.
Okay, Alright, cool. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So frequently they use the cases of B and I change to
What else we
B,
got?
bold for stylistic
We're
reasons.
learning to
I
touch your work.
is used in an alternate voice, such as a definition of
These
a foreign
flavors.
word. Okay. M wraps text content that is meant to be emphasized, and strong wraps text content that is important, such as
It's
a
weird, it
warning
says failure down,
message.
so you gotta scroll up and read the actual.
Okay, so that was just an explanation of the
Like, so
different
so
styles.
lowercase e.
Yeah.
So while I and M both italicized, B and strong, both bold, they are really understood to have 4 separate use cases. So they look the same, but when you're reading the code, they have different meanings.
Cool.
Okay, so is it time to apply what we've learned in index? There are comments regarding the specific
took
deliverables
notes on
in this lab.
Huh?
Okay, so they want us to do these tests. Run the server.
I have to run it.
Okay. Okay, hit Control C.
Right here.
Oh, never mind.
So
It's
access
just
to this after the class ends.
That's
the
all.
server.
Yeah.
Yeah, just run the server, HTTP server,
Yeah.
and then they want us to go
Pay for
through
it,
and do this.
Wait, but we need breaks between. How do we get the breaks again?
Birks for
Breaks.
So it's not just like a whole VR.
Is it P?
VR.
VR.
Yeah. Alright,
Why?
cool. Yeah, there you
Okay, so now we're reading these.
go. Wow.
Table added versus
Tests. We need to read the test on this thing. Okay, wrap the title below, text formatting HTML and H1 tags.
Images are absolutely critical.
So wrap it in H1 tags.
Keep it recorded.
It doesn't show that on the page, so you can, because it's a comment.
Okay.
So just wrap the next line below. Yeah, no, the text formatting line.
Right. Oh, there. It's
Yeah.
already typed for.
Yeah, it's already typed.
Let me go back up here and say.
I don't think any of that's right.
Okay.
Source attribute provides the content package without the image from display.
See, it's only that it does that.
Yeah. So it might be.
Have multiple over
Yay. Okay,
Whoever is very
next one.
common, you want to call
Wrap
it
the
numbers,
subtitle
have
below
that,
with
somewhere
H2
else in the
tags.
internet, these situations, like full URL, the source, the source, quotation, blah, blah, blah. The source attribute is always necessary,
What?
stop, image
Just
tag,
Really?
you can use the alt picture function. The alt attribute contains text relevant to the image display and will appear in place of the image field. If it requires, highly recommended that every image include the alt attribute. Text support the screen readers with visual
Next
compare,
one,
especially
H3.
government. Text will read out loud for the second. It is also meant to provide some sort of message to the website. To include the alt attribute and the source attribute.
It's almost
URL and alt.
You know what? Forget it. I just typed it.
Image title attribute. What additional attribute that can be used with the title, content, and the attribute.
Okay.
Okay.
And then
Three
tags for this
text
one.
box and symbols. P tags.
This is your company set up with the logo to see the message.
It's all about it.
Alright, it's time to practice. Alright, for this challenge, feel free to anything that you like.
Nate, you good?
Yeah.
It's not the kind of, if you're sure, if you use it, probably you will. Alright.
That's what I do. You know what?
No, I don't see, I'm gonna read.
Test
Yeah,
down
you have
here.
to sometimes.
Is that the
That's it, yeah.
The actual
Okay.
question at the
You
bottom.
can hit learn. Well, is your server running?
Log out, log
Yeah,
out.
it's also.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to control C this one.
Yeah, you made it on here.
Alright.
You can type the carrots in.
Yeah, right.
There. Are we good?
Did you do it? Control C.
Yeah.
Now learn.
Yeah.
Right.
Boom. Well done.
Okay. And then can submit.
I feel like y'all knew that I didn't have good sense. Why are you acting surprised?
So, first things
Nice. All right, so that's a good stopping place for the moment. So let's go ahead and come back together. The exercise that we're going to go through now, we're going to do a little bit more HTML. You guys are a little bit ahead in that. We're going to talk about tables a little bit. But what I want to do is set everybody up to be able to do this stuff locally. So you can just create files on your computer and start playing around and do this stuff like for real so that you could actually put it out on the website and it's not just in the IDE. So to do that, it's super simple. Everybody should have Atom at this point.
Oh, you know what? Let me take mine off the screen.
Yeah, and I can put mine on. Yeah. That's really cool, the way that it does that type of thing.
Oh, neat.
So we both are up there right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so you can just go into your Finder, PC, anywhere that you want to start coding. I usually do things underneath of my home directory, and then I have different repos, different folders for different projects that I'm working on. So like all my full measure, all my for work code is inside of the full measure directory. All my Flatiron stuff is inside of the Flatiron directory, etc. So I'm just gonna, anywhere you want to, just create a new folder, and we'll just call it Playground. And then you can, if you have Atom open, and if you're on a Mac, you probably want to do the options keep in dock thing. But you can just drag Playground onto Atom, and it'll open it for you. Or alternatively, you can go File, Open, probably Add Project File, Add Project Folder, and then go find it. So one of those two ways you want to open up just a blank folder that you created somewhere.
Wait, you said open. Okay. I was copying this stuff to the project.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I can do that a couple times. We'll make sure everybody gets to the same place.
Okay.
So again, you go create a folder anywhere you want to, somewhere that you won't delete it. So I don't know, a lot of people delete things that are on their desktops and on their downloads, so probably don't put it there. Put it somewhere you'll find it, whatever makes sense to you, it doesn't matter. So I created a folder called Playground, and then I have Atom open, so it's down in my dock. So I can then just drag Playground onto Atom and it'll open it for me. And you can see the Playground directory is there. It doesn't have any files in it yet, but it's there. Charles' is a little bit different. He probably do want to do that file open project. I'm not sure if you can just drag the directory down, but it's the same concept.
Right. So what are you suggesting?
So just do File, Open Folder, and you'll find where you put Or if you didn't do anything, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's started too.
Okay, so you can just cancel out of this for the moment,
Okay.
and then just open up your directory stuff. So put it on your start menu. Open up like folders. How do you search things? I'm sorry, I'm super naive on those PCs. Like, how do you look at files?
Right.
It's not installed.
Okay, yeah, sorry, the files.
It's files.
Yeah. So and then just it doesn't matter where, but somewhere that you keep track of it. We want to create a new folder.
Okay.
For something else.
Okay. So yeah. So we want to. So if you go back to Add
Hey, what is?
So that's out of this?
I think so.
and File Open
Did you do
Folder,
it?
I got that.
and you'll find Playground wherever that was.
Okay.
Okay.
And you're gonna press select folder.
I just installed.
Just go over this, I'll just.
You can close it and then just.
Mine is trying to find some software. I dragged the folder, so it's here, but it's still something about we did and we have to.
Oh, it's probably trying to install it before because, okay.
High Sierra.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's High Sierra.
I mean, it would be nice.
Anything weird is High Sierra.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have that. It's not necessary, but it would be nice to have, so I wouldn't stop.
Okay.
Do you have Playground open, or you got Playground open? You can close those other files if you have open there.
The welcome.
Like, for example, the table
All those welcome to Untitled TV.
Yeah, cool. All right, so then if you right click on the file, on the folder,
And then say new file. For right now, we're just going to create index.html.
It's a new file.
Yep. Good. Lakeisha, we'll catch you up as soon as your software installs. So then if you go back to Slack, actually, we can just go grab our document structure basic HTML that was from a little further up. So basically just doc type HTML, head, body HTML. So it's just that. And once you have that saved, then if you go back to your Finder into Playground, you'll see there's now a file called index.html. And if you double click on that, it'll open it in your browser. So then we can actually just go back to Atom. You can just start adding things in there. So like I'm just going to do an H1. So, and you refresh the page instead.
So,
Yeah, so. And that's all you need to develop HTML on your computer. It's really that simple. It's pretty awesome. Actually, all the things that we're going to do in this class, this is all you need. We'll create an index.js file and an index.css file, but you can just open your index.html and it'll just go. So we'll actually probably start, now that you guys understand this, I'll probably start developing a lot of things this way outside of the Learn environment. It should all work the same inside of the Learn environment, but hopefully this helps you understand, like, oh, I can do this on my computer. I don't need the Learn IDE. There's nothing special about the Learn IDE. It's just, okay.
you might have answered this already, but you said Adam doesn't auto-complete the tags for you?
I don't remember. It might not. It doesn't. So there are packages that you can go get.
Yeah, let's go get it.
Packages.
Spoiled now.
Bracket matcher.
Close current.
How do we do this? I think last time I just searched Atom HTML tag completion. Yeah, there you go. Autoclose.html. So if you search for autoclose-html Atom, and it'll bring you here. And now that you have Atom installed, you have the Atom package manager, which is what APM is. So if you copy and paste this into your terminal, then you should get autocomplete.
Nice.
So I'll put this into Slack.
That's basically that's kind of like Linux.
Yeah, it's like Linux. Yeah, Linux has apt-get, which is similar. Mac has Brew, is the most common one. Yeah, so Debian or some Linux distributions use Yum, which is similar.
I've used that.
Yeah. But yeah, so if you just take what's in Slack and you copy and paste it into your terminal and press enter, it'll install some stuff, and then you should have autoclose.
And you said the one that you like to use is called IntelliJ.
IntelliJ. So IntelliJ makes a whole bunch of IDEs.
Is it free?
No. Well, but it is for students, and I don't know how like Flatiron might actually work. I doubt that they're all that strict about it. So like if you were able to present to them some indication that you're actually going to this course right now, you might be able to get it for free. It's not super expensive, but it is like $70 a year or something. So it's definitely not free. But IntelliJ has a whole bunch of, I mean, my company pays for it, so that's why I have it. I would just use Sublime or Atom if they didn't pay for it, but there's a whole bunch.
No, sorry, I thought you said
Oh, yeah, he did.
RubyMine is the one that I use, which is primarily for Ruby environments. WebStorm is probably the one that you would want right now, which is like JavaScript oriented. They have them for PHP, for Python. This one's for everything. There's one for Go.
So in the terminal, we just copy and pasted the APM install?
Yep.
It's command that now.
So quit your terminal and then reopen it. Could just be that you had your terminal open and you download and install Atom, so it didn't have reference.
Oh, okay. Is it?
If you open a new window, probably it's Command N.
Oh, a new terminal window?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the problem is a terminal that only understands things that it knows when it's open.
Okay.
So like you didn't have APM when you opened it, so it doesn't know that it can use it.
So if I were to install Ubuntu, would I have to do that on both sides?
The APM piece, yeah, you have to do it on because the virtual machine that you create with Ubuntu is like its own thing. So it does. They're two different computers.
Okay.
Yeah, mine is not working, but I'm trying.
You have Atom open? If you restart I would say restart your whole computer, and then it should definitely work.
All right, I'll do it live tonight.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and if you don't have it by next time, we'll work and see if we can get it to go.
But it won't hurt for us to close the tab.
Yeah, you just have to type a little more. All right, but the point is we create this index.html, and then when we go to our Finder, we should be able to open that. It'll open in the browser, and we should actually be able to see what we're doing. So we can make changes to it. So we're going to start writing our table out in here. Let's go ahead and create a basic table. Inside of there, we are going to create a row. Inside of there, we are going to create th, which means a header. And we are just going to do some simple things. We're just going to get first name, and then another header, last name. And there's some tricks here that can make your life a little bit easier. So if you highlight a thing that you want to duplicate, and then you press Command-Shift-D, you see, watch my screen for a second. Command-Shift-D. See what's happening? It's just duplicating it as many times as you want. So then we'll do email. There's a couple other nice things about Atom. So if you're trying to, as you're coding more and more, you're going to at some point get into a position where you've accidentally opened a tag without closing it, because there's going to be a lot of code and it's going to be hard to follow. If you click on any of these, you see how it highlights in blue the closing tag? So you can see these two tags are related to each other. This tag closes this tag. Same thing here. Or if I go to table, you see it highlights table. So you can actually more easily find how things are opening and closing. It becomes particularly relevant when we get to JavaScript. But. All right. So we have a table. It should have some headers. So if I refresh my page, after I save, I get some headers. By the way, this is the one thing that's a little different about the Atom versus the IDE. If you leave the IDE, it will auto-save your page. Atom doesn't do that by default. I think you can configure it to do that, but you do have to save this and then refresh the page or it won't show up. What's that? It's done installing? Okay. So here, I'll put this into Slack. So go ahead and create a new file called index.html in that playground. And then copy and paste that in.
Do we need to close that into that? The auto close tab into PPG?
Probably. You probably have to restart it to get it to actually. Can I see your terminal though? Where actually you're in? Yeah, so yeah, so if you quit, so save this and then if you quit and then
There's probably
reload.
keyboards that. Just kind of know.
Just reading down, which is a shortcut on my way.
So
It's
the
I'm pretty sure you can
one
assign
that
certain buttons
I don't know where
To do, yeah, that's right.
Switch.
I guess I've done that.
I don't know where it
Okay. So
Let's get
even
that
down.
Oh.
We'll move it into applications. That should be. And if you right click on it. Yep. You do options. But that'll make sure, so when you quit it, you just
You already posted that in Slack, sorry.
Yeah, I posted in Slack, so you just copy and paste. All right, so then we're just going to create a second row, which is TR again. And now we're going to do TD because these aren't headers, these are just regular pieces of information. And I'm going to do, let's say, Sam, Adam. Yeah, we'll get him next. Birk. So it shows up there.
You said Shift Command D.
Command Shift D, yeah, will duplicate. You can also Command. No, that doesn't work in this one. Command D. No. Oh. Oh, can I do this thing? No. Yeah, I don't know all the Atom shortcuts as well as I know others, so. One cool thing about Atom though, and other IDEs, Atom's actually not the best version of this, but I was just command clicking all over this HTML page.
I accidentally found that.
Yeah, it's multiple cursors,
Right.
which is incredibly useful when like you want to type essentially the same thing over and over again.
Wait, what?
That's very.
So you see all the I have like 10 cursors. As I'm typing, it's typing on all of those lines.
And you did that by doing Command D?
Command click. So if I hold down Command and then click, it'll put a cursor wherever I click.
Oh, okay.
And then you can start typing. Or you can start moving around. I mean, they're actual cursors at that point. They'll do anything that you tell them to do.
Okay.
You said that's only Adam?
Atom's actually the worst at it. Sublime does a much better job, and Broodmine does a great job at it.
Is Visual Studio considered IDE?
Visual Studio is an IDE, yeah. Okay, so Atom's not so bad. They didn't used to be able to do this. So where the most useful case of that is, let's say that I want to add a class to all of my TH elements. I can highlight the first one, and then if you press Command Command D, so not Command Shift D, but Command D, which is duplicate, then it will create, well, I need to get the whole thing. So let's say I get that guy. You see how I have 3 cursors there now? So I can say class equals header, and now all 3 of those have that class, and I'm ready to go.
Do you use
So with Command D,
I will.
Yes.
do you need to highlight what you're doing?
You have to highlight. And it's not, yes. So with Command, so with, yeah, so you have to highlight what you're duplicating first. And what it's really doing is a find of whatever that thing is and putting a cursor there.
Okay.
Okay. So there's our basic table. If we wanted to, we can get a little bit fancier. Like let's say that we want to actually send an email when you click on the email. The way that we do that is around our email, let's put an anchor tag. We're going to say href equals mail to, colon, and then we're going to put the email address. And then we're going to close our A tag after. Actually, then we refresh. Now it's a link. When I click on that link, it's going to open up a mail client. Oh, I might have messed it up. It might be mail. It says mail too. Maybe I don't have a client set up. Oh, yeah. That would do it. It's the little things. No, it's still not. But it should. So it's probably just, let me try this guy. Does that work? Yeah, so I've just done something to my computer. I probably said don't listen to those links or something, but on your computer, presumably, it should open up something.
Can I see the code?
Yeah. So it's going to be the same as this, but.
Oh, okay.
So it's a href equals, and then you do mail to, colon, and then the email address. And then you don't close the anchor tag until after you put the email address again. It doesn't have to be the email address again. It could be,
email.
Yeah, send email, sure. You have to close this A tag. So if you put a greater than right there, and then the weird things. Command Z. It's because the greater than is after the email. It's supposed to be Z. There's a greater than after the email.
Can't you fork these into
So,
It looked like it was decided to give out in the beginning, so yeah, there was a.
you don't need the space, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, so you can just come from
Have you worked with it on this class?
I have tried normal edit, so that's why that's why I'm here. I have no idea what I'm doing
I didn't remember.
It's a loading.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah, there you go. So now if you click on it. Yeah, it's not opening as you. Oh, there, it's opening. Yeah, there you go. Cool.
Okay.
Open your presentation file or your Finder. So if you're Finder.
Get a view of the Google Docs of code. Multiple people can participate and you have a version control on there. I just don't
Yeah,
know.
my literally says index.
Yeah, so we'll go over that. It's actually not supposed to be until a later course, but because we're starting already doing things locally on our computers and we don't want to lose them, we'll talk about Git sooner than later. Maybe even next class, just so you guys are up to speed on it. It's a little bit complicated, so just be aware it takes a few days before you really understand what's going on with it, but it's okay. You'll get it. In the end, there's really only like 3 commands you use over and over again, and a couple more you use every once in a while. So. All right, so that's it for the little tables lab. I just wanted to go through that one more time before you guys move on. The rest of the class is just continuing to work on the labs that remain inside of the HTML fundamentals. And then just in case we don't get back to this, for homework, just finish all the labs and then read through HTML forms and HTML iframes. You'll now open up on the creek. But we'll go back to working together, and I'll be here to help out.
That's and then, yeah, and then it's like,
And no class on Monday, right?
No class on Monday, correct.
wait, what?